So we have lots of different types of tools that we use when we're making things out of clay. Mainly we've got kidneys, scrapers, metal cutting tools, this is a Surform, wooden tools, these are glaze brushes, this is a cheese wire for cutting the clay, wooden rolling pins and spacers. And we always work on canvas. So when you're starting to build something, I would always suggest getting a piece of board. So this can be made out of anything, but this is just a bit of 5mm MDF. So you can get this as sort of scrap from the wood workshop, which you have to book in. And what this means is that you're just able to kind of move it around. You can pick your piece up and all the rest of it. Because once you started to build it, it's going to remain quite wobbly and quite fragile and insecure. Until it goes into the kiln. So you want to be easily able to move it around, be able to look at it from all sides so you can keep an eye on the shape. And obviously when you're not using it or when you're drying it, it's good to be able to remove it and put it somewhere else safe. So I would always start with the board, and then when I'm building up off the board, I would also put some newspaper down over the board so you can masking tape that on so it doesn't move around until you've got a nice flat surface. And the reason for doing this is that when you're starting to build, when the clay starts to dry, it starts to shrink inwards, so the moisture gets it starts to evaporate and the clay starts to actually physically shrink. So what you want is for it to be built on a surface which will move ever so slightly with it. If you're building just directly onto the board or even onto your desk, what can happen is that as it starts to shrink in, it gets stuck, and then that can cause cracks as you go around your piece. So instead of just being able to move and kind of move in with this, it will get stuck and you'll get cracks. So always best to start with a board and some newspaper and then start building from that. And then you've got no reason it can be moved around, and it should be nice and safe. It also means when you're coming to take it off your piece, you could, in theory, just use the newspaper to slide it off. The other thing I would always have next to me is a piece of canvas. So again, very cheap, very easy. So I would build on my board and newspaper, but use the canvas to either roll out a slab or roll out coils or whatever it is that I was doing. So again, it's just that thing of having something that's slightly porous, that's easily maneuverable, that you can peel off the clay as and when you need to, and it's not going to stick to your work table. These spacers as well are really good for rolling out clay, and again they're just 2 pieces of MDF. You can get them cut at whatever thickness you want, and again just scrap bits of wood that I've run through the bandsaw or got Joe to run through the table saw so I get a nice straight edge. Get 2 of them and you can just use that as a guide to roll out your clay.